Thank you, Jason. Oh. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And I have to, oops, sorry.
Oh, now you broke it.
I did. There. I had it upside down. As Jason said in my introduction, I served with the 82nd Airborne Division all the way. And there's several other veterans in the room tonight that served with the 82nd. How many veterans do we have in here by a show of hands? All right. And how many by a show of hands have family members that have served? All right, so we just connected with practically everybody in the room. And then for anybody left over, how many of you know a veteran? All right. So we have the whole thing. We have the whole thing covered. I was asked to speak tonight because one, I am a veteran, and two, I happen to speak for a living. And service doesn't end when you're done in the military. The military gives you a sense of purpose and gives you a sense of being, and so the service doesn't end. So besides military service, there's public service, there's civil service, there's customer service, there's worship service, there's sales and service, service and repair, service after the sale, service providers, service master, process servers, service entrance, service with a smile, over 300 billion served, you guess which company that is, and lip service. So, which service do you provide? When we talk about service, what does service mean to you? And I'm not going to talk so much about customer service tonight. I'm going to talk about serving others. So, service as a helpful act to others. I'm talking about a service, a helpful act to others. So what are you doing in your communities? What are you doing for other people? What are you doing for charities? What are you doing for groups such as this? What's your mission? What's your personal mission in life? I realize as people with businesses, we want to grow our business. We want to help others through our business. But what do we do outside those walls to serve others? What are we doing? I'm sorry, that was a question where I was looking for a response. And this isn't quite the format. And as a professional speaker, I've never stood in one spot to give a talk, ever. So if I look a little uncomfortable, not moving around and jumping around the room, I am. Okay? But what are you doing to help others? So there's a lot of different things that we can do. And of course, service starts at home. All right, I'm sure everybody's heard the phrase, charity begins at home, and starting with our families. Are you serving your family? Are you acknowledging your family? Are you making sure that those that you love know that you love them? I've lost everyone in my immediate family that I grew up with. And the one thing I don't regret is that whenever the last time we spoke or saw each other, we always said, I love you. Always. And I've heard from so many people about disagreements and rifts that happen in the family, and they haven't talked to a parent or a sibling in years because of something that happened. And I always ask people, is there somebody you need to call? Is there somebody you need to reach out to? Maybe it's a friend even that you need to reconnect with. I was down in Nebraska last weekend, and I was talking to one of my sons on the phone. And when I finished, I said, "Love ya." And so the guy that was in the same room said, "What, you talking to a girlfriend on the phone or what?" I said, "No, that was one of my sons." And he looked a little puzzled. I always end a conversation with any of my sons or family, "Love ya." And most of the time, they say it before I do. I have them trained, all right? So a lot of companies say that their most important thing are their people, and that they do great work and everything else, probably even put in a mission statement. And I find that a lot of companies fall short of that. They are out to make a profit, which is, yes, that's why you're in business, to make a profit. But I think the people that work in those companies, we need to pay more attention to them. We need to make sure everybody's being taken care of, everybody's getting a fair wage, everybody's got the benefits that they need. That it's time to take care of people that are close. Now, there's a lot of companies out there that do great things. Bill Gates and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation give away billions of dollars to help organizations and help others in making the world a better place. I happen to be a member of Rotary. I just rejoined Rotary after being out of it for a couple years. I've been in Rotary in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and then out in Montana, where I moved from before I moved here. And I had met Brian, that's part of this group, and he told me, hey, we're starting a new Rotary group. It's the Minnesota Veterans Rotary. And it was like, perfect. This is the group I want to join. And it's a great group of people. And it's made up of veterans, and it's also made up of people that are interested in veterans' causes. And Rotary has a great global reach in the things that they do through their foundation. Well, one of the things that Rotary does is they've been raising money for years to eradicate polio around the world. And Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation said some years back, we'll match $2 for every dollar you raise towards eradicating polio. As of 2018, they gave $3.7 billion just for that one cause. Just for that one cause. Now, back in the 80s, there were over 350,000 cases of polio around the world. Last year, there were 33. It makes a big impact. See, as an individual, we can make a difference, but as a group, we can have a global impact, an enormous impact on helping others. Walmart, they do a lot of things in the communities that they're in, and they have a group of store associates that give out community grants, and they support the people that volunteer and the organizations that they're involved with. A lot of corporations will match whatever you donate to different organizations, most of the time as long as it's a 501c3. As a small business, it's hard to match gifts like the big corporations can. But what can you do if you are a small business? What can you do personally to improve the community or individuals or have a global impact? As I said, after the military, I've always had I've always been service-minded. I was in the JACs for a lot of years, and then I was in Rotary for a lot of years. Both of the organizations do a lot of good for a lot of people. Through the JACs, we did toy projects, we did Easter egg hunts, we did haunted houses. All the money always went for other things. We did air shows for 20, well, it's still going. Next one's next June. But there's so many things that we can do. I went to an event in St. Louis Park last week to a group that's called Matter. And they do meal packages, and they hand it out to different organizations. And it's a small meal, but it's a nutritious meal, and it meets all the needs that they have to have. I was so inspired by that. I met with their director on Monday and said, how can I help? I'd like to help. I want to be a volunteer. And she said, well, we're packing a shipping container, 40 or 50 feet. We're packing it with hospital supplies for a new hospital that just got built in Tanzania. We loaded up 22 hospital beds, mattresses, equipment, supplies, tables, everything that you can. And by the way, has anybody ever had to lift up a hospital bed? Do you know they have to run at least 300? And half of them we had to stand up on end. And I was one of the bigger people there. And it was a lot of work. Anyway, it's going to a hospital. They've already sent supplies to this hospital of clinical needs that they had, and now they're sending the equipment. And they work with all the hospitals in the area, hustling equipment that is obsolete to them, but way ahead of the curve in other in third world countries. When we talk about service, it doesn't have to be something huge. It doesn't have to be enormous. You don't have to take on the entire project yourself. You can just do a small act. You can rake leaves for an elderly neighbor, clean out gutters for an elderly neighbor. You can volunteer in schools. You can volunteer for the place you worship. You can read books to first graders. You can get involved with junior achievement and teach them your business skills. You can also share what you do with other businesses on areas of your expertise. It doesn't have to be that they're a client. It can just be friendly advice. It can be, here's what I did when I had that same problem, sharing with other people. And I think that's what this group is about, sharing with others on what your expertise is. Tina with Toys for Tots. Yeah, that's a huge undertaking, and I might be wrong on the numbers, but I think she's serving around 2,500 teenagers. She focuses on teenagers. And she's gathering toys, and you saw the table back there. She's gathering things that teenagers need. And it's a great thing. And she's doing this with no pay. She's not getting reimbursed for this. It's a passion that she has. And when we talk about service, it needs to be a passion. It needs to be a passion. But you don't have to take on that entire project. You can serve by donating. We can make a financial donation. We can make a toy donation. We can go to a shelter and serve meals or prepare meals. There's so many things that we can do. And so my question to you is service top of mind all the time? Are you thinking about how can I serve somebody today all the time? Because there's so many out there. Along with that service is acknowledging people for the service that they give. Acknowledging any others on what they do. Because it makes it makes a huge difference, and it's such a small gesture. Such a small gesture. I was in the Amazon in January and went to several indigenous tribes along the rivers. Some of them were on the tourist trip, but others were ones that we visited on purpose to be away from the tourists. And we visited a tribe called the Kimbabi tribe. I may be massacring the name, but close enough. And when we were being introduced to their culture and everything else, one of the people told us that in our tribe, there is no I, there's only us. And in our tribe, there is no me, there's only we. And what I learned is that they all have to rely on each other in order to survive. And they know what plants they need to help somebody that's sick. And they know, what things are edible and which ones aren't. They know about where the dangerous animals are and where they can go safely. And all the things that they need to know to work as a community that doesn't rely on everybody else, isn't connected to the internet, You know, they don't even have a fax machine. So it was fascinating they're talking about teamwork, even though I don't know that teamwork is in their vocabulary. It's just we and it's us. Gandhi said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. You know, Gandhi was on the world stage. We only have to be of service to others right where we're at, and then think bigger later on. And the difference of who you are and who you want to be is what you do. It's what you do. So what service can you give others? What service can you give others? It doesn't have to be a big financial investment. It's an investment of yourself. It's an investment of your time. And I know everybody's time is valuable, but it's an investment of your time. It costs nothing to be a decent person. Like holding a door open for somebody. And by the way, guys, you don't have to just do it for women. You can do it for other guys. It's okay. All right? It's okay. So what can you do? What can you do in your neighborhood? What can you do at home? What family member can you help out? What equipment can you loan to somebody? Whose yard needs mowing? You know, who's in the hospital? We can visit shut-ins at a nursing home or assisted living facility and listen to the stories of when they grew up, because they love sharing those stories. You can be a volunteer with a group like this, which there are several volunteers here. Not half the room, but probably a fifth of the room are volunteers in this organization, and not just in this community, in the other communities as well. So on the statement for this group, it said selfless service. First line of the statement of what this group is all about, selfless service. Rotary, their motto is service above self. The JCs have a creed of things that they believe. The last line in the JC creed is service to humanity is the best work of life. Who are you serving, or who can you serve? In the 82nd, we have a challenge. We have a question and an answer to a challenge. And the question is, how far? And the answer is, all the way. How far will you go to give service? Thank you.
Right on. Here's for Jeff, everybody.